Yeah, I'll call the Public Works Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Cindy.
Here.
Seth.
Here.
Todd.
Here.
Andrew.
Here.
Tanya. Here.
Okay, first period for public comment. No one is here. Is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment? Now is the time. Is there anyone online there, Nate? Other than AJ and Seth?
It looks like you're good, Cindy.
I'd like to give a shout out to the department or the city guys who plowed the snow. They did an excellent job. If you,
We can wait for that until we get down there, okay? This is, you're not public.
You want to make.
You can't do that. No, no, we do not.
Sorry, I did that, Cindy.
Since when is it all right for a member of the committee to make talk? in
I've
the
seen
public?
somebody stand up from this table and walk up to the podium and make a public comment.
Not very darn often.
Say as a member of
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, I haven't seen that.
versus being on a.
I've got the library board after them all the time for that, so. Okay, approval of committee minutes from November 25th, 2025.
Mr. Todd, I'll approve the committee minutes.
I'll second, Tanya.
A motion in a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I don't think I heard AJ. Did you say aye, AJ?
Yeah, aye. Sorry, I'm having some phone trouble right now.
Technical difficulties. Okay, aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Review and approval of pay request number 1. Wow, Hanson Farm Project. Out of how many are there going to be for this?
All right. Somewhere in here. Okay, so this is a whopper of a first pay request, but like on Chicago, or excuse me, Center Avenue, a lot of what we see is materials on site, right? So that's like stored materials. So there's 246,669 and 66 cents. And they always put it and call it change order 1. I don't know why they do that because it's not actually a change order. As we go through the project, that number will keep going down until it's 0. But it's a way that they use to account for it so we can see what is stored materials.
You said Center Avenue. Did you mean?
No, so this is Hanson
Okay.
property, but on Center Avenue, we had about that same amount of money that came up right up at the very beginning of the project. And it sits in that box over there by the change orders. And as they install the materials, it gets taken down and eventually it will be 0. So I don't love how they do that because I think it's deceiving because it's not actually a change order, but it's just their way of accounting. So that's why when you see net change by change orders, it looks like the cost has gone up. But as I said, this will continue to be reduced to 0 through the project. And they actually have quite a lot of work done out there. So I think as of the point of this pay request, they had all the work done going up Chicago Avenue for water and sewer, and then crossing with the sewer on Chicago Avenue. And they also put T stubbed out to the direction so that if the development happens on the west side of Chicago, we'll be ready for them and not have to dig back into the road again. So a lot of it is sort of what you expect to see at the beginning of the project. So we got mobilization and traffic control. They have all that comes out now because now they're out of the road, which is kind of nice. So they're in the field and they're working there for the rest of the project. They're not going to be working in the road. And so, like I said, you'll see some of these things that you expect to see at this point. So they are taking off topsoil and they strip it. They haven't done all of it. So that's why you see only 10% in there of the total lump sum. A little bit of asphalt here. And then obviously the erosion control that we have on every project. And then them starting to install the sanitary sewer. So The larger sanitary sewer is all in, whereas you can see this top one, which is 8-inch, is only at 11%. So they're just starting to get that part in, which I envision in the next pay request, we'll see almost all of that work done. They're hoping by Christmas to get all of the pipe in the ground. Let's see. Sorry, I keep adjusting it so that you can see the numbers better. It's not the best quality scan. And then there's some manholes in, but not all of them. They haven't used a lot of granular backfill, which is really nice. So comparatively, you've got, 20 to 12%, but they've only got like just less than 4%. So what that is like when they take the soils out, typically we're putting a granular backfill in, but particularly because of the landfill proximity, one of the things about granular backfill is it's exactly what it sounds like. It's like really like rocky. There's not a lot of fines in there. And so this way we don't want to create like a conduit for things to move around. So we actually do want to put those natural soils back in it where appropriate. So that's why this is a lower number, which is always good for our cost. There is, let's see, the water mains put in here. There was something, this one here. This one, we'll have it changed for council. For whatever reason, they ended up having 2 for a live tap, and the quantity should be 1 because there was only 1 live tap. And so this will be changed for the next one. I didn't have time to take it out. We'll make that adjustment for the council. So that would be something in the motion with the correction of 1 live tap for the approval. Okay, I'll just shift this over a little bit. So again, like I said, this is the installation of a good chunk of the water main. As you can see, the 10-inch water main here is that larger main. And so we always go sort of, your main trunk lines are larger and your smaller lines kind of branch off of there. They don't have a lot of storm sewer, but they have some of it in here. There'll be a lot more work in this area to come, and particularly, so they're going to have some of that done by the end of the year. And then they'll also be working in January, working on the stormwater pond area. They're trying to get all the work done while it's frozen and we're not having water running into the potential pond. So we're trying to get that done ahead of time, which was one of the main things we talked about at the pre-construction meeting, is try to make sure we keep the site operating properly because there's a lot of water that goes through that property. Let's see. We don't have a lot of stuff here because this is some of the stuff that happens on the latter end of the project. We probably won't see a lot of that stuff until next year. But then we also see our stored materials. So that's that change order 1 that you see, which is not truly a change order. Again, very confusing. And this will be 0 as we work through the project, but that is the amount that we're currently paying them for the pipe that is sitting on site. And if you ever want to see a variety of pipe types, that is one place you can see it. Sometimes, like for example, Center Avenue, they only bought the ductile iron pipe, and so they've got that out there. But there's about every kind of pipe you can possibly imagine. So we've got our ductile iron pipe, obviously in 2 sizes, well 3, because there'll be the hydrant leads. We've got the sewer pipe out there. That's the blue pipe that you see. It's a PVC sewer pipe, also in 2 sizes. And then there's giant concrete storm sewer pipe. So for those who are interested, it'd be an interesting drive to take, just take a peek out there. But that's what makes up this. This is actually 75% of the materials because they've already installed about 25% of the materials. All right, so all of that is how we get to our number here. So we have our completed to date, which is the amount completed plus the stored materials. Then we held back 5% retainage. And so the current payment due is this $562,220.67.
Less 6,000, correct?
Exactly. And then we will be removing 6,000 from that. Yeah.
Oh, because of that mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so impressed that you go through all this stuff like this. You really seem to Go
Well,
through it with a fine tooth comb. and
I
just-
have to explain it to you, so I have to know
I'm
every
very
single thing I
impressed.
see on that page.
Yeah.
So it's a good check.
I'm very impressed. Yes. Any questions, anyone, or emotion?
I'll make a motion to approve. We're calling it a pay request.
Number one.
A pay request number one in the amount of 562, 220 and 67 cents with the correction to be made for one live tap rather than two. So the total will be,
Minus.
do you want the
6.
new total?
556, 220, 67.
556, 220, 67.
Wow. There you go.
I'll second that.
Good job.
I did not check her math. So-
Don't worry, she will.
Okay.
Any further discussion, questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
and Cindy.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, review and approval of pay request number 4, salt shed project.
I don't know where my agenda went, but I guess you've already moved on anyway. Okay, so this is our final payment, final pay request on the salt shed. Essentially, this is the retainage. So that's all we held back last time. We had some punch list items. They came and did it. They gave us the lien waiver, and this is basically the end of the project. So there is $25,150 for this pay request.
I'll make a motion to approve a pay request for the salt shed project in the amount of $25,150.
God, I'll second it.
Any further discussion, questions? Okay, motion by Tanya, second by Todd. Roll call, please.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Before you go on, I was just going to say, we are going to end up filling this thing probably in the next month because we're going to order some salt. And I thought it would be fun if everybody wants to come and do a ribbon cutting because it may not be a big deal for everyone, but it's a big deal for the street department. And it doesn't have to be a big deal, but just sort of like we could go down and bring rolls or something like that and just do something to open up the salt shed before we start stuffing it.
Yeah. Let us know.
Let me think about a good date. Or
Sure.
yeah, hey, whatever we're open to doing, but I just thought it'd be fun.
Steak.
It's not as flashy as some buildings, but it is a big
Pretty
building, a
important.
big deal for us.
Pretty important.
Maybe we'll have something salty.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be very
that's a
appropriate.
great idea. All right.
And if we don't have enough, we just reach in and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be, I'll get on it.
Okay, discussion with possible action on old landfill.
Okay, so I put this on here because I wasn't really sure. Things have been happening pretty quickly, and just was more expecting a construction side thing, but then we ended up having something come up, which was that the company that rents the equipment to us, we were going to get billed directly from them, and they've been delaying in doing it. And then when we finally got it all together, we realized that they give a special discount to TRC that they don't give to us. So we actually would be paying more money. TRC has been great. Mike has been awesome at trying to figure out how, because typically a contractor always marks up a subcontractor's bill, right? Like that's pretty standard protocol. And so he always has been saying like, why don't you just get billed directly, like for the gas monitoring wells and for the rental of the equipment? And so I think that's really awesome that he always suggests that. And so that's why you haven't seen this up to now. But then again, when we realized that we actually would be paying more, even with the markup, then we would, like, if we were going directly, then paying this with the markup, we decided that this was a better way to go. So this is why you see this in front of you. This is the rental cost for 7 months of the equipment. What I've been trying to work on is to see if there's a rent to own option. And I believe there is, except the person who does it at the rental company is on vacation. So I wasn't able to get the answer, but I understand the equipment's close to $20,000 to just buy. So I'd like to see how far we can get with that and then hopefully leverage some of this money that we're using so that, because we do know that we're always going to have to monitor the landfill. So without a doubt, and then if this company is out of Madison, so then we'd have to coordinate, you know, if we don't own it and we don't necessarily do it monthly, we'd have to do all that coordination and it's just going to add up. So I'm putting this forward today because this is what we've already incurred and we'll be doing up to February 6th. But hopefully there's an option where we can like leverage this better. So this is what they call change order 5. And again, it's just for the rental of the gas equipment. And so you can see they always put a total here. And the last time we saw it, it was this 157.90. So looking for approval of that. But I also wanted to go through other things under this agenda item. So I don't know, do you want me to wrap that up first, Lori, before I move on?
I would do a motion on the approval of this and then you can continue.
Motion for the 13,400.
This is Tanya. I'll make a motion to approve the pay request, the change order in the amount of 13,400 for TRC.
This is AJ. I'll second.
Motion by Tanya, second by AJ. Anybody have any questions? Roll call.
Andrew,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
and Todd.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Continue.
Okay, so what has happened since we last met? So Mike came out here and he has been really bothered by what we call probe number 2 because it still continues to produce a decent amount of gas and it's,
Tell us where that one is.
yeah, it's just outside our fence line. So just real quickly here. So this is one of the first ones we installed. Sorry, I'm making people dizzy. It is located right here. So I don't know if you can see it here, but it's like close to the gate. The gate's over here. It's on, this is our property line, that black line there. And it's about there. I can put just for everybody's sake here real
Is
quick.
this the point where they found the garbage that was not under the cap?
Correct. So that's where I'm going with this. Is that we did find garbage. So they ended up digging kind of like an L shape that was right along here and then worked their way towards that probe to sort of see what they got. So here they saw a little bit of garbage closest to the property line. It was really like narrowing down, but closer when they moved this way, they kept getting more and more garbage. So long story short, we're seeing waste that's outside and this going to do a few pictures that Mike sent me. So here's some of the material that they found outside of the fence line. You can see the fence, right? And so this is like this trench that they were digging, this kind of L shape. They were trying to establish like what they could see. So you can see like there's like a cap on it, but then there's still stuff that we're finding outside. So the reason Mike wanted to do this was because he was trying to understand. He's like, if this is the edge of the garbage is where the fence is, why are we still getting such high readings there? And so obviously it's because we need to change our perspective of where the end of the garbage is. And so they ended up installing this monster vent. But the probes are what you see in this green area. So it's actually like a 2-inch PVC pipe that goes about 15 feet in the ground. It's like perforated underground so that it can collect the gas. And then they put this casing pipe over top of it. So that's, I think it's about 4 inches. And so the probe that I'm actually testing off of is inside of that. It's like a protective casing essentially. So we have 3 of these in this area. And so when they dug all this up, they put some of the rock that we have left over from the project. So when we did the original project, we stopped short because we were running into the road and we just did not think we were going to get benefit out of keeping going. And so we still have a pile of rock there. We still have some pipe. And so he utilized that to do the sort of this little mini project here. And so there's rock there, but then he covered it up because he doesn't want it venting to the atmosphere out there. But then put this big vent in here. And we'll probably be utilizing that in some way. So what we've been doing over the course of the project is we've been both trying to vent, like to suck gas out of the green area, like the probes. But we've also been, there's vents that don't look just like that. Some of them are, the ones that normally we see are like goosenecks. They have like, you know, the pipe that comes down like this. But this one, this is how they ended up doing this one. We probably will end up connecting to that at some point and seeing if we can start pulling from there to help us not see any of that migration there. So let's see, he had one more picture
How
in
deep
here.
did you say the black one goes? Is that 5 feet or is that one 15 feet?
The vent, so that
The
bigger
new
pipe,
black one.
yeah, that one's way up in the air. I would say that's probably
No, but
12 feet
how
in the,
deep?
into the ground. So they only dug about 10 feet here. They were in like about 4 feet of cover layer and then they dug into 5 feet of garbage. And so they put the rock in there and then they stuck it in. The vents are about that same. So, well, let me think about that. The trenches that we put in the main landfill area was mostly rock. And then we made this like pipe that went across the top of it because methane rises, right? So you're supposed to be able to utilize the idea that you're catching stuff at the top. So like even those passive vents that were originally installed, those pipes don't go all the way to the very bottom of the landfill. They are expecting the gas to rise and they get trapped underneath the cap because there's a clay liner on the top. And then the vent is supposed to allow for a spot for it to come out. And so we see that happen. The ones we installed, we know gas is coming out, but it's not coming out to the quantity that we're getting in some of these probes. So I just wanted to go through that because I wanted you to see what we had done because now it's covered in snow. And we have been struggling for the last 2 days trying to keep doing testing out there because the locks were frozen and then finally we got the locks unfrozen and then the like hook part wouldn't release and then we got in and then we could test, but then when we were trying to take off the couplings to put on the suction, it was frozen. It's been 2 days of frustrations in the snow with this, but we're getting there. And what it really comes to is that we've been really trying to make do with what we can because we don't want to spend more money than needed because we've spent a lot already, but that's worked well in good weather, but now in bad weather, we need to have something a little more sophisticated. So that's what we're working on. But that's the last thing I was going to go through because we've talked about it a bit, but I wanted you to have a visual here because we haven't really summarized it when we've talked. So our original budget was that 750. This is what we've spent so far. I don't know why I haven't put that in here. And, oh, always not working as well as I'd like it when I'm in here. Okay. And then this is how much we've committed to spend so far, right? So meaning we have TRCs only billed us 100,000, but we have a change order already, right? From last time that was 150. Badger's done their work. We have paid them for everything that we expect them to do at this point. We bought the pipe. We expect that to be there, but then our probe installation. Oh, I don't know why I put it here. This should not be here. Oh, excuse me, doing math on the fly here. Okay, so that one, I haven't spent the money yet, but we know we're going to, right? That's the probes that we haven't yet installed. And some of it's a little confusing because originally some of our probe installation was under TRC's contract. Now we're doing it outside of the contract for the remaining 17. December 15th, they're supposed to still be out here and we're supposed to be putting those probes in. So it's going to go, if you remember, we approved that last time, around on the east side, going on the west and south of the east side of the landfill, and then doing a full circumference of the west side of the landfill.
The other
So
side of the road? That's.
yeah, so it's by the road, but it's really like, they want us to know, the DNR wants us to know what's happening fully on all sides. So I just wanted you to give an idea, like, we've spent a decent amount of money working on this, right? A lot of it was construction, the other part of it is consulting, but there's also, additional things. So I put some numbers in here. I didn't know what that instrument cost was today, so this should be that. This, I don't know if we're gonna have to spend much at all, but this is in the Hanson Farm property. We want to make sure that we mitigate any migration that's happening. And so while we're already digging in there, we want to make sure we're not making a conduit to go further in. We want to cut off anything that might be in a sand layer or any kind of trench that we're creating, like for the sanitary sewer or the water mains. So I just threw a number in there. I don't know that that's the case, but I'm feeling like that we're in that ballpark. And then I didn't get to get all the detail in here today, but we spent about $1,000 in like the blower and couplings and just like miscellaneous things that we've spent not in-house, but like ourselves, just getting supplies to do the work we're doing. So we're working on it. This next installation of probes, I think, is going to give us a lot of information about where we're going to be going next with it. So there you are. And I will say the one thing that Mike's been really great about is that the construction parts that he's put in have all been intended to also have multi-purpose. So like we were hoping for it to be passive ventilation or venting. If we need to go active ventilation, we can still use the stuff that we have in there, right? So it's not like, oh no, we got to go to a whole nother system and we're going to start new. We'd be starting with what's in place. So, all right, that's all I had for, not all, but that's what I wanted to talk about.
So we won't really know anymore until you get we don't think until you get all those probes in.
Correct. We'll have a better picture when we have our probes. And we've been working on seeing what that little area that he's worked on, that new area, has helped. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to sample very much because I've been struggling trying to get samples.
Yeah.
But we'll be, now that we've kind of gotten through that and the holidays, we'll be gathering more information. So
Thank you. That's hard work out there and it's not warm.
no,
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 Thank you
but
for being so persistent,
Yeah.
saving us money doing that.
trying, yes.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Let's see, to move on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, helped a lot. Discussion with possible action on non-lapsing fund request, materials maintenance.
Okay, so I know I've done this a couple times now. But the non-lapsing funds is that I have money allocated for material maintenance, so like street projects, and then we've just kind of had things that have happened along the way that we've been pivoting for. One of them is the fact that the landfill existed, and all of a sudden, the things that we had for capital is now being redirected. So we know that funds are tighter, trying to make the most of what we have. Some of it's timing. So, for example, Prairie Wind Way, we did the gravel work and we needed to go in and fix a part, and then a part of what we had installed around the culvert, and then the seal coater, it was too late in the year. So we're going to be doing that first thing next year, but again, the funds were allocated this year, but we want to be able to use them next year. So those are the kinds of things that we've been working through. So let's see, I've got more spreadsheets. My spreadsheets are not as pretty as Nate's spreadsheets, but we'll work with them how we've got them here. So just as a couple things just to walk through, like what the heck, all of this materials maintenance stuff gets a little confusing because we've been doing it a little differently. So this year, this was our budget for 2025. This is how I came up with the number, and then allocated was 119,000. We had elapsing funds from last year. That was projects that never ended up getting completed when we thought they did, and just additional funds that we had. So one of the things that I'm always careful is that we're gonna have enough money for the projects that we put forward, and then sometimes we do better. And like, I always assume worst case scenario, and knock on wood, thankfully, we've had better scenarios than I've expected. And so then there's this additional funds sitting there. And I'm not just going to try to spend the money on something so that I've spent the money. I want to make sure it's effective. And so we carried money over from last year. So that totaled basically in the materials, street maintenance materials fund, I had about 173,000 to work with. And so we've been working through, so my original budget for the projects was in that $152,000 range. We had Prairie Wind Way. We had Chicago Avenue, which was supposed to be from Independence to Broadway, which we've talked about. We're going to take that money. We're going to say, you know what? That is not the worst road in town. And we know that East South Street project is probably not going to be a true project. We're going to do it as much as we can. And so that money is not being used this year. This is money that we spent on Main Street doing the concrete improvements. So when they were in doing the TAP project, working in Main Street and repairing Main Street is not a little task. It is 9 inches of concrete with rebar. It is high traffic. So while they were out there, we had them do work in Main Street. So last year in 2025, that was about $37,000 worth of work. This was also related to it, but it was kind of in a different category. So we fixed that bump in front of the bus garage, but we also had to do some underground work, reestablishing the base material there. So that was outside of the contract so this was actually embedded in our TAP contract, whereas this came outside of the TAP contract. Again, trying not to incur markup costs for no reason. This one I budgeted for originally, and then the DOT never asked about it, and I left it where it was. We ended up spending less money on the TAP project than budgeted. And so I wanting to see whether they were okay with us leaving this money there in the project, because it really truly was a part of the project, and they've been okay with it. So I'm happy to have that be a part of that project cost because we only paid 20% of it. What that was is we closed the driveways at the Buzzy's parking lot area and Wonder State Coffee. We closed off the driveways that went onto Main Street. And so we had those as a part of the project cost. So this is a little confusing because I put it in one lump sum, but these 4 seal coating projects came in on budget, which was that 23,987. I just have that together instead of split up. And so the other things that we added this year into this category, because we had some space there, was the pavement markings that we did on the north end of town. So we switched to epoxy paint for most of what's on Main Street now. We always didn't, we had a, why can't I think of the latex kind of base paint, water-based paint that was on for what we have normally. And that's the kind of paint that we use in-house. It needs to be applied yearly. What I was finding ahead of time, I was considering switching to epoxy anyway, because the timing of it never worked really well for us. By the time I finally got these guys out here to put the paint down, it was late in the season. We plowed, it kind of wore everything off through the plow season. And then we come back in the summer and it looked kind of worn out already. And we never really got like our full use of that paint. Whereas the epoxy lasts up to 4 years. That's sort of the average time frame, and the DOT just put it in anyway. However, they only did the painting for the stuff that they were altering. So there was stuff on the north end of town that wasn't painted epoxy. So this was basically like rounding out the project so that everything is epoxy more or less now. So that went there, and we put that because we were over what we had in our street maintenance, painting and sign budget. And then this was just a carryover that we sort of missed. We knew it was there, but it didn't get changed over last year. In 2024, we had concrete costs that never got put into the maintenance costs. That was a part of the TAP project. Actually, that was a part of the HISSA project, rather. So essentially, it was sitting in TID 6, but it should have come out of the material maintenance. And so paying off all of that stuff that we've done this year versus our budget means that we have, excuse me, 73,000 left over in that fund. Most of it is because we decided to go with East South Street instead of Chicago. So I never did that $50,000 project. But some of it is also, we need to seal coat Prairie Wind Way, right? Because that got carried over into next year. And so long story short, I would like to move all of that over into 2026. So it would be 2026 non-lapsing fund in the street maintenance materials fund. Let me know if you have any questions.
I had a question about Washington through West Maple. You said it was chip sealed or something like that, and
Yeah.
that there was going to be something else done in the fall to it? Or did I misunderstand?
So from that end of Maple there, they never ended up seal coating as far as I wanted them to. So they basically did the road, but I was trying to go also into that gravel area that's kind of like on the north side, because that gets beat up and it gets used. People turn around there and do things like that. So that's missing.
But they did the main part of the street?
They did the main part of
Oh,
the street.
okay.
So it'll look like a chip seal, almost looks like a regular surface. It might not right away. So what they do is they put oil down and then they put the rock in, and then it kind of like works its way in and becomes like this solid surface. So they did that this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, anyone else have any questions? So you want a motion to put that 73,609.76 in non-lapsing fund?
Yeah.
You're gonna go for it, Todd? You can do
But the motion is to put the money where?
the non-lapsing.
So
fund.
it'll stay in
Into
the
the
same
non-lapsing
GL. It'll
fund.
just go into 2026's budget.
Just to be clarified, you're not going to see it in the budget. All I'm doing is I'm making it from non-designated to a designated fund. So you're not, the budget amount doesn't change. You're never going to see it. It's going to look like it's over budget, but we have the funds set aside in the non-lapsing. So it's in like fund balance that's designated for that. So that's why when
That
you're,
Totally help, Lori, thanks.
I'm, did it? Well, I just wanted to make sure that you,
Because I'm always like, it's not in the budget.
when she says it's going back into the budget, it doesn't
Yeah,
change the
sorry.
budget amount. It just basically says that there's amounts that's in the fund balance when it goes back in, when everything isn't spent, it goes back into the general fund, the big pot.
Mhm.
All that I'm doing is I'm designating 73,609.76 of that big pot that can't be used for anything else, but it won't be put in the budget. Does that help?
Sure, but not with the wording of the motion.
No,
I think you just call it non-lapsing
Yeah.
funds.
it's the non-lapsing
So
fund.
putting you want that money in the non-lapsing fund. That's all I need to say. All right, I make a motion to approve placing the $73,609.76 into the non-lapsing fund.
This is AJ. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tanya, second by AJ. Any further questions? Roll call.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
and Andrew.
Aye.
Just like I'm so glad Sarah knows what to do with all those other numbers. I'm so glad you know what to do with this.
And I did move all the stuff back to TID 6 and all that stuff. So it
Perfect.
actually, the account matches to what she's asking to do. So we're good for this year.
Copacetic.
TID 6 looks better now.
Okay. Possible closed session per Wisconsin Stats 19.85 1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governing body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Utility auxiliary worker 1-year review. Motion to go into close. Do we need to go into close? We do still.
Usually when
Lately, we haven't
discuss,
been
yeah.
going in.
I'll make a motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Motion by Todd, second by Tanya. Roll call.
Cindy,
Aye.
Seth,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
and Tanya.
Aye.
Did I hear recording stopped? No, okay.
Ms. Tanya will make
Okay.
a motion to approve what was discussed in closed session.
Reconvene in open session with possible action on items discussed during closed session. Okay, Tanya, take it
The
away.
motion to approve what was discussed in closed session.
This is AJ, I'll second.
Okay, motion by Tanya, second by AJ. Roll call.
Todd,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Tanya,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
and Seth.
Aye.
Motion carries. Construction project updates.
Okay, well, we obviously have one main construction project still happening. That's the Hanson Farm. As mentioned, they went up Chicago Avenue and did all their crossings. Now their goal is to get all the underground work done before Christmas. So, basically there are restricted by the weather, right? So like a Thursday, I believe they're assuming then they're not going to be able to work because it's getting really cold. So they're basically working when they can work. It's not always fun out there at this time of year, but and of course it is the windiest spot in town. I don't know. It's just like wide open, I think, and it makes it really windy, but they're working hard. They have, I don't know if anyone's seen, but there are 4 excavators out there working like mad. And I went out there today to talk to them about like how they were, because, you know, they're in Viroqua, most of the time they're doing reconstruction projects, which you're running into all sorts of oddities and strange things that are just already there that you're not seeing. And I'm like, you must be so happy to just let her rip, you know, you can just go. And they said that one of the things they feel like they should be further ahead, but a lot of it's because like the density of the housing is such that like there's so many services. They're like, we're just like going here, here, here. We should be down there by now, you know? So that was an interesting comment. Not that that's gonna stop them from what they're doing, but they just, you know, noted the fact that we are certainly doing high density housing.
No buried farm equipment so far.
So far, not anything that we've found.
I mean, that's pretty common to bury stuff out in the field.
Yeah, gosh, who knows? Yeah. So hopefully that's not an element we need to worry about, but you never know. Right? Um, yeah. All right. Let's see what else. So then they're going to work on the pond next, as I mentioned, and they said there's roughly about a foot of additional grading. So like the site's still kind of the same as it is. It's not like the site's going up 6 feet or anything like that. So that would be sort of the next thing after that. And they're got their eyes on like May, June, or May, I think is the substantial completion date, or June. But we're trying to get there so that the next phase starts, which is people actually building houses. Yeah, I mean, that's really the big thing. I talked about the landfill. So unless you guys have questions, that's kind of our construction projects.
Yeah, that's great. Street and utility department updates.
Well, obviously we had a gigantic snow event. Todd can attest to how awesome the guys did. It was a tricky one. So in an ideal world, we plow at 2 a.m, right? Like the traffic's down, the guys have rested, and they get out there and they're plowing when there's not traffic. And that's not what happened here, and which is always tricky for them, right? Because now they're dealing with the traffic that they don't deal with at 2 a.m. So they went out at 11 the first time, and I mean, they've been running themselves ragged, basically. Like they've done multiple plowing, they've hauled for 2 nights now. So hopefully tomorrow they'll have a normal day and get back to some of the normal day-to-day stuff. But I think they did a great job. It's always so hard with that much snow and the timing, you know, it's like trying to get out the side streets, that kind of thing.
Yeah, Todd and I
Once
were.
people have already driven on top of the snow. So.
They told me 18 hours they estimated. Yeah, Todd and I were out down at their shop.
Yeah, thank you for
Monday.
doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, he beat me. He brought him sandwiches. So. Yeah. Oh, good. You got one? Okay.
What was the snowfall total?
I saw 7.5, but
Yeah.
It's a good milestone.
There's also some decent drifting too, so that's always an issue.
What was the extent of cars left out on the street?
Cars and dumpsters.
Dumpsters, vehicles.
Which are being taken care of or have been taken care
Right.
of. It's a good question. I saw a number of them out, but I can't tell you exactly how many
Better,
tickets
worse
that were.
I mean, just the impression that
Did
you
you
got
get
from
it?
the
Any
guys.
impression? I think it was decent. I don't think there was confusion about the fact that there was a snow event. Sometimes I think some of it is that people are like,
Right.
oh, wow, that was a snow event.
Right.
There was no question
That they knew was.
that it was a snow event. And then Trina did a good job with Rick about posting it. So when we talked, like we were probably about 24 hours ahead of the storm. So that also helps. But I did see a number of vehicles that they had to plow around. But
Did we
probably better.
Did we tow anybody, ticket anybody?
That's a good question. I think they just got tickets.
Well, I'm gonna hope that the guys didn't complain. It was either they're getting used to cars being out there and just having to work around them, or the problem is getting better.
Yeah, I will give you a report
Okay. I just-
and get more detail.
Did you hear anything, Todd, when they didn't talk?
If it don't get better, will he ever go back to the old way or not?
Well, and that's what I'm
Bigger
trying to, that's
question.
what I'm trying to ask is like, where are we at? Cause this is, I think what, the third year that we've moved to, snow event parking, I guess we'll call it, which is kind of a weird way to say it, but,
I think people appreciate it.
yeah, people certainly appreciate it, but I'm just, you know,
Well-
we knew that the first couple of years would be transition years and.
Well, did I mention, I think I did what Madison does. They just tow them to a street that's already been plowed. They don't worry about a towing company moving it to some lot somewhere.
How do they know where it is?
No,
Like,
you have
they-
to find your car.
Yeah,
Yeah, but where?
each year. It's a minor inconvenience.
Right, yeah. So
That's how far they moved it.
Yeah, but really,
that's funny.
Joy's friend, Fiona, it happens to her all the time down there and they just,
Interesting.
it's usually a few blocks away. So, I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they still have to pay when they're towed to another street?
Yeah, they have they get a ticket too.
Sure.
A ticket and they're towed somewhere.
I can't even remember. Do you remember what the ticket is now?
Can't, it was increased.
We had raised it to something, yeah. Okay, anybody have any more questions for Sarah about the street or utility? Everything wells are doing well, they're okay anyway. There's some motor pump not working or seal or something and
Yeah, then one of the lift station, the Sunny Hollow lift station, but
it's still working.
at this point,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Okay, second period for public comment.
No, I got.
Oh, you were supposed to say it when we were talking about you. Remember, I even asked you. Boy, if that's a holler. Okay,
Todd would like to thank all of
Yeah.
the street workers for their hard work.
yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tanya.
As part of the public. Okay, adjournment.
Gotta make motion adjourn.
AJL second.
I think you beat him. Motion by Todd, second by Tanya. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. everyone.